Hello people, welcome to my channel. My name is Hilary and today I am trying to start my September vlog. So what you don't know and we are not talking about is that today is 15th of September. September reading is not going very well. In general, my idea was anyways a little bit change. And the vlogs, I'm usually doing 2 vlogs within a month and both take up about 2 weeks. However, not this month. I started the month with reading The Book Eaters and I absolutely loved it, and I think I have already uploaded the reading vlog / review, so I'll tag it somewhere. And then I also read White Smoke. That video is going up in October. Reading those books took up way more time than I planned. So what I have planned anyways was to a little bit change it to around 10 days of vlog. Well, that is not happening, but I'm putting my goal to read 3 books in a couple of days. And I think I have been doing a little bit well on that aspect. I'll go through that. But what I'm planning to read is second book of Inheritance series, The Eldest. This is in Estonian. I don't have the dust jacket, and I am about almost halfway into this, and I'll talk about it a little bit later. Then I have also started The Woods Are Always Watching or something. I'll put the cover here. I honestly can't remember. I'm borrowing the audiobook from a library. And then I also want to read Beneath the Deep by Erik Johansen, and that is the extra companion novella to the Tearling series. I have that book somewhere else, but I'll try to cover that in this vlog also, and hopefully then in the second half of September vlog I can also read a couple of books. So I am reading right now The Eldest, and I'm really enjoying it. Actually, it goes quite fast. I think I first read about 100 pages, and then me and our family went to Riga for a weekend to celebrate my mom's birthday. Then was my actual mom's birthday. This weekend there is a big fair that we're going to. A weekend after that we have another birthday celebration, and that will be over 24 hours because we're staying tonight, so not a lot of reading is being done. Also, I have had quite long days at work, so that's another reason why reading The Book Eaters took me so long. But now to The Eldest. So this is the second book in the Inheritance series by Christopher Paolini. The first one was Aragon, and that was about a boy who discovered a blue egg in the mountains and basically a dragon hatched from it. His stepfather or uncle was being killed, and people wanted that dragon egg or dragon, and he also wanted to get revenge on whoever killed the uncle, so he went traveling. And in that way she met with a lot of different people and also creatures. So we got an elf and also lots of dwarves. So the second book is about his next journey. So he will be traveling from the dwarven mountains to the elf lands and being trained in there. But it's quite slow paced and not a lot of action. However, what I'm really enjoying is the little snippets into the lives of the dwarves, to the elves, their culture, their religion. And it is very nicely, we're not going into too much depth, but we have these like details have been sprinkled in, so we get some general idea, feeling of their lives, and I really like it. We also get another point of view, and that he's his stepbrother, not stepbrother, the uncle's actual son, kind of brother to him, Ronan. And basically it gives us an overview about what happened in their home place. So Ronan went away to work in another town to get money to get married, and then the uncle was killed. Aragon just disappeared from their village and Ronan went there. However, those who killed the uncle basically came back and wants to know more information about Aragon. And in this place we see the struggles of the town and also of Ronan and trying to survive and also protect the village and all of that, and we get lots of action in there. So I think it's very well balanced with Aragon's, you know, training montage that is very slow, and also traveling with action packed on the other point of view. So I'm really enjoying it. In general, this is a second book that I have read a couple of times, so I do remember the plot quite well. So probably my comments on how well it is written and how much I'm enjoying it is a little bit biased. However, I think it has kept up with the time quite well. So I got to cut off, and I don't 100% remember what I was talking about, but I think I talked about that I like that it's different than most YA fantasy books we have right now that are especially popular. For example, Shadow and Bones, Throne of Glass, and all of those, where there is so much plot about the romance story. Yes, there is a love story within the series, however, it's somewhere in the background, and we have, yes, we see him fumbling around and all of that, but it's not the central theme of the book. However, the book itself, it gives me, with its simplicity and character and all of that, gives me a little bit of middle grade fantasy vibes. However, since it is very heavily influenced by Lord of the Rings, Game of Thrones, Dragon Riders, and so on, these old-timey adult fantasy books, then this pacing, how everything is set up, it all very reflects that one. So it's a very nice mixture of introduction to adult fantasy while still being very digestible, easy to read, fast read, and really enjoyable. I think I said that all before already. So yes, I am very much enjoying this. I'm hoping that I can read maybe 200 pages today, so that leaves me about 160 pages for tomorrow, and then maybe I can pick up and read Beneath soon. For the second book that I'm listening right now, and that is The Woods Are Always Watching, and this should be another YA horror story, as if I remember correctly. So this is about two best friends that have finished high school. One of them is about to go to California to a university or college or something along those lines, and another one is staying in their hometown. So basically this is their last hooray of doing something together. Neither of them have been very physically active, however, they have decided that they're going on a hiking trip for 3 days. And then in the middle of the hiking trip, the woods are watching and things are happening. I think I am, to 20% in or something along those lines. And we haven't gotten to anything creepy yet. So I don't know about the horror, how good is it? However, what I can tell you is that the best friends are very bickering. They don't give me best friend vibes. If they were like two people who are hating each other during high school and because of some, I don't know, some reason they have to go hiking together, I would believe that, because they're mocking each other, they're quite mean to each other, and I haven't seen anything that gives me an actual proof that they are best of friends for years. Another thing that we get is mention of one of them is really afraid of bears, and there are some bears around that region, and honestly, I completely agree with that fear. In the country I'm living in, Estonia, we have over 1,000 bears, and we're quite a small country, so there's a lot of bears. And honestly, that fear is quite real. Like, if I were to go to a forest or a hiking trail, I have the same fear that I will meet the bear, and honestly, the probabilities are quite high. So completely getting that fear. However, like, one is mocking the other girl about that fear, and then they are also like, I don't know, really cranky and mean to each other. So we'll see how that goes. We have gotten some hints that the trail that they picked, that somebody is disturbing the hikers, and some of them go missing. So we'll see what will happen. But I think that's about it. So, Jackie. what are you doing? So I'll come back when I have read more of that also. So we're gonna do a little bit of content planning for next year. I know it's a little bit early, but I'm kind of excited to pick out some books I want to read next year, and I will be doing these sometimes, and I'll add them in the blog. So what I have is I have tried different ways of adding books from my TBR that I can pull out. One was a series cup, so we have here actually written down the general pages I have left to read, and these should be full unread book series. So whether they're duologies, trilogies, or more books, and they vary from 400 pages on the whole series up to I think 1,500. However, I haven't picked any of them, so I think I'm gonna scrap this idea for next year. And then for mostly I have been picking these light colored ones. These are just random books from my Goodreads TBR, and I pick one for each month, and if I don't read it that month I can go and try to read that at a later point. And these are the books that we are going to pick today, because one of my goals is to read books on my physical TBR, and for that I have the bookshelf here next to me. I can always see what books are unread and pick from that, and it's a reminder also. And these will be like books I'm kind of excited about, or I also want to push myself to read from my Goodreads TBR. I also need the green ones, and this should be the series I am in the middle of. However, I haven't picked any of them, so I think I'm gonna keep these as of still, and maybe try to use them for the next couple of months, because I don't plan to participate in readathons very much, and I'll just try to sometimes just pick one book from here and try to finish series and just read books on the physical shelves and also from my Goodreads TBR. So I'll still keep these for these years for October, November, and December. I hope the lighting is good, but I came to update a little bit about my reading. So I yesterday finished Eldest by Christopher Paolini, and today I spent a lot of time cleaning and doing the laundry, and I finished The Woods Are Always Watching. So I'll give you a brief overview of what I thought about both books, and then we'll see. So in the general, I think the Eldest is maybe not as good as Eragon, especially if we take the main character. The first book, I think, if I remember correctly, just followed Eragon's point of view, and this continues mostly in the second book. However, not a lot happens with Eragon. So we start after a big battle in the Dwarven Kingdom, and basically we're gonna see him travel around again, and then go to the elves and do more training there. So basically we have a lot of traveling montage, training montage. However, I really enjoyed getting the more detailed view about the religion, the life, different aspects of the dwarven and elvish cultures. But other than that, Eragon point of view was quite boring. We did have him dealing with a lot of issues, whether it was a romance or some other problems he encountered, whether they were more physical in the aspects or more in the depths of who he is a character or what he believes in, and that was quite decent. And from his point of view, at the end of the book, we have another battle, and that was mostly interesting. But other than that, the Eragon side of story, it wasn't very exciting. However, we have also, as I mentioned, I think before, we have another point of view with brother in Garhol, where Eragon was located, and Roran, and that is a lot more interesting. It is more action-packed. We see him dealing with different problems and also thinking about and getting information about Eragon and what he is and what he has been doing and how does he deal with that, especially since Eragon was involved in the murder of their father at the beginning of the first book. And what I really enjoyed about the book as a whole is these two characters. They started in mostly similar point. We didn't know much about them before, but we see how they deal with different things that life has put in them, making them face. How Eragon deals with, for example, people dying or him having to kill people, battles. But same is goes for Roran. So he encounters also some things and how they both change. And I think it's very interesting to see them develop. They knew who they were before the events, and then they are developing and changing and encountering new things, and then at some point they will meet. So it is very interesting to see how they react to one another and the changes. So I really love these developing character aspects. So I try to be in dealing this with talking as general as possible, just to avoid any major spoilers. We did get another point of view for 2 or 3 chapters throughout the book from the ruler of the rebel group. Since I'm reading right now, this book was also in Estonian. I don't know what exactly is the name of the rebel group in English, but the 3rd book I have in English, so I'll know that. And it was good to see just what is happening elsewhere. We got some good, interesting characters, and also what I really loved was how they are basically gathering the money, and through how they are gathering the money, how they are fighting Galbatorix, the big bad evil, and I think that was really funny scene. And I think last thing I wanted to mention is that the timeline in the book is quite vague. We know some time has passed, but we basically don't know what, so the timeline is quite loose. However, that wasn't a major problem or a highlight for me. But other than that, I absolutely enjoyed this book. And if you have enjoyed Eragon or thought it was decent and are at least a little bit interested to see where the story goes, I think you can pick up the 2nd book and the rest of the series. For The Woods Are Always Watching, it went by quite fast. I listened it to an audiobook, I borrowed it from the library, and I think I previously mentioned that I did not enjoy the 2 main characters. Honestly, it did not change throughout the book. They were supposed to be best friends, and then nothing shows that. And honestly, even till the end of the book, like if whatever happened in the woods, the woods are watching, so somebody's watching them, and some things happened. Even at the end, when they were trying to work together, that scene wasn't quite long, them working together, and also it didn't show that much about their friendship. So that aspect for me wasn't very believable. Up to 50% in, basically nothing happens. We see them bigger, them hiking, that's about it. We do get a little bit of hints of something might be going on, but nothing else. After that, basically one of the girls has an accident or something happens to her and she can't basically move, she's stuck, and the other girl goes to find help. So goes back to the car, at least that's the plan. Which isn't a bad plan by itself, and from that on we see both of their point of view, so we have a third person talking about this, but we do see their roads separating. What was unexpected, as I think with a couple of books also this year, is the amount of gore and violence that this book had that I didn't expect, especially for a YA. There was lots of blood, dead limbs, carcasses of dead animals, and so on and so on. So that aspect was very surprising, but not 100% not unwelcomed also. It was nice. And mostly I enjoyed, but it did have a lot of unbelievable moments. But I think it delivered what it was supposed to. In general, I thought it was a decent book, and it was a little bit scary and disturbing, so I think it fitted my goal of me wanting something that for the autumn season. What I also wanted to mention was about last time I talked about the fear of, encountering bears. Me and my family went to a fair and we drove through some forests and we saw an elk. Basically, it was crossing the road and then stayed in the side of the road and looked at us for a couple of minutes while we drive by. It wasn't as big as they get, so I think it was a young one. But yeah, you don't want to crash a car into that thing. So that's one of the fears, actually legit thing. And then that was yesterday. And then today, when I basically woke up, a friend of mine sent me a video about the news article that we had a bear running around this town that I'm living in. So encountering a bear, you don't even have to go into a forest in Estonia, apparently. So I'm happy I wasn't outside that late, because honestly, it was running around quite fast, a lot of roads, and honestly, I was quite... That was my cat, but I think I wanted to say, you don't want to encounter that thing while you're walking in a road, even in town. So yeah, that kind of helped me get into the mood also for that book. So in the timeline wise, I'm not doing very well. I was supposed to finish the third book also yesterday, according to my plans. However, I haven't. So I was thinking whether I will actually... the third book I wanted to read was Beneath the Gift by Erika Johansen, and I was thinking whether I want to keep it in this blog or not. It is a little bit over 400 pages, 450-ish, and I think today it's 4:30 in the afternoon, so I think if I can read, 200 pages at least today, then it shouldn't be maybe a problem for me to finish. And then I have some ebooks and audiobooks left for the rest of the month and the second half of this vlog. So I'm going to start this one, even when I am really bad at reading lately. And just to go over my Bookoplathon TBR, so one of the prompts was favorite setting, and for that I like in scary movies, horror movies, haunted house, so I picked White Smoke, and I have read that one. Then I had a prompt of read a small book, so under 300 pages, and for that I picked The Woods Are Always Watching by... can't remember the author, but picture is here. Then I got random emoji, and for that I got joy, so I picked Eldest by Merciful, and honestly it was a joy to read this one. And then I also got pattern and text, and for that I picked Beneath the Gift by Erika Johansen. This is the Deerlings, Queen of the Deerling series prequel. Should be adult, epic, high fantasy, adult fantasy, and quite dark and gory. So after that I have to read favorite trope, and for that I picked Voice of War. I had a mood read, I picked for that My Dearest Darkest. Then for the winter prompt, I picked Where Dreams Descend, and then I also got published set in 1999 or both before, so Dune Messiah. So that means after reading this, I have read 4 books and I have 4 still left to read. However, we'll see how that goes. Hopefully I can manage this, or maybe I think I'm gonna keep the Where Dreams Descend as the last book, and if it goes like over a day or something, I'm still okay with that. So I finished Beneath the Heat by Erika Johansen, and it was an okay book, but I had some problems with it, but also there were things I enjoyed, and I'll go over of this in a second. So as I said before, this is a prequel story to the Dearling, Queen of the Dearling series, and this follows the main character's mother story and some of the Queen's guards that mother and the daughter shared. And in the Dearling series, the main series, basically mother has passed away, the world is in a really bad place, the next kingdom is about to invade because of they stopped sending people to them as slaves. So basically what we know about the mother was that she wasn't a very popular queen. She sounded, I think as far as I remember, quite ruthless, and also made a deal with the next kingdom because they were about to invade them, and she promised to send basically random people to them for general slaves to be sold, to be workers in different campsites, manual labor, and so on. And when I heard about this book, I thought about that this book is about how that deal was made and events during that time. However, that was not the case. What we got in this book is basically a prequel story to that I just explained, and this is how the mother basically she as a teenager, and then also how she got the power up to the point where her daughter got born. So it's just, I would call it a prequel's prequel in a way, and I think that was one of the major letdowns because it wasn't a very exciting, intriguing, and also something I wasn't expecting. Also, if we take this book, it wasn't very plot driven. Yes, we had general plot on how she became how she became from princess to queen and birthed her daughter and all of that events. However, it was a very generalized plot, and it was more about the character stories, how they changed throughout their lives. We get several point of views. One of the main one is of the Kelsey's mother. Another one is one of the queen's or princesses cards at that time that we see also in the Dearling main series a lot. But also we got a lot of other character point of views snipped in. And that was one of the main reasons I was kind of bored, because we didn't have very specific plot that we're following, and honestly some of the events and some of the character stories I didn't care about that much. On the whole, I would not recommend you reading this before the main series, because we get a lot of references to events that or secrets that we find out in the second book that are freely discussed in this one, or basically it references to some things that we get the details in the main series, but if you haven't read and don't know it, you would be very, very confused. And there was one particular detail or a secret. I don't want to go into it. Spoilers, but it was revealed I think in the third book, and here we find out that that was a complete lie, and the people who said that in the third book of the real series, we find out that in this one they actually knew it. It wasn't openly discussed, but they knew it wasn't the truth, but they still told the lie in the actual series. So that question made me question. And there was also about another character, Arlen Thorne, who is very prevalent in the rest of the series also, and here we see a little bit of that, but we also don't see exactly how he became the influence in that exact position, but we get references to that. Basically, he was the one that overseed all of the slaves taken to the other country. So we don't see how that deal was brokered, but we see how he came to that position almost. And I know I'm making things very complicated if you haven't read the series. But if we were to a little bit backtrack to the general opinion of this book, is that it mostly had the same depression-inducing feeling that the main Dearling series had. The main Dearling series went very into details about details of regular people's lives during wartime. So there's a lot of mention about personal experience with rape, killing, and so on from the previous war, but also the war that is taking place during the series. Also, we have another point of view where we see domestic violence by a loved one very in details, and reading about that is really, really hard. And basically, this is a world where I would never want to go into, because I know I wouldn't survive 5 minutes in that world. And basically, reading about that world is just depressing, because that world is depressing. In this one, this book is divided into 3 parts, and we get more these kinds of details into the people's lives, not just the main characters, but regular people's lives in the first and the third part. And the second part is very bland in that aspect, and also about events that are taking place. But however, what takes it up another notch is that this one describes the lives of children a lot. Basically, rich people, the nobles in this world, do not think poor people as actual peoples, more like their entertainment. We have a lot of pedophiles in there, and we see children in those situations. So we don't get the mostly we don't get graphical descriptions of these kinds of situations. However, we see details and sneak peeks into the child's lives, and that is very depressing and sick and bad to read. And if I'm comparing it to Poppy War, that is also like a very depressing world where I wouldn't want to live. I think this series on the whole takes it in another level, because we see the glimpses into actual people's lives so much more than in Poppy War. In Poppy War, we mostly follow Rin and her experiences, and I think this way this is so much darker and disturbing, and I want to say better written, although I don't know if I should say that. But yeah, I think that's about it for this vlog. I have to still edit this video today and upload it also. Hopefully it happens today, but this is about it for today. I hope you enjoyed this video. Thank you for watching, and bye!